In this video, I will be going over all the comps that I think will be commonly seen in patch 13.6 and how they will be affected by the patch. I'll only be doing a quick summary of each comp and not go into depth on them just to keep this short. Note that the positioning will not be ideal in all the shown comps. This was just to showcase them. For all changes in the patch, read the patch notes in the description. Just for a quick meta overview, Unleash the Beast Urgot's dead. The augment got nerfed from 10 seconds to 5 seconds for the CC immunity, but more importantly, Urgot got some massive nerfs, mainly to his mana. Blitzcrank 3 got buffed pretty hard, so I think he's going to be a very good 3-star main tank. You'll probably see him in Automata Cog Reroll, and Dominator Cast Reroll might come into favor. Family Reroll got a lot of small buffs. It was already okay, but it should be pretty solid now. Chem-Baron got a pretty good buff. It was already strong, and it's just going to be even stronger. Pit Fighter got a decent buff. It's not going to be a composition that you want to force every game, but it can be flexed into if you have the line. Sorcerers, mainly LeBlanc, got nerfed pretty hard. It should be playable, but it's not going to be super strong anymore. Renata took a big damage nerf with her secondary damage, so she's going to be lacking damage quite a bit. She should be playable, but there's also other versions of Visionaries that are very good. Akali's mana buff should make the Akali Twisted Fate reroll quite strong. It was already okay. This will just make it a little bit better. Form Swapper reroll didn't really get buffed much, but because you'll be able to 3-star Swain more often, it should be a better comp now. Twitch and Silco got decent buffs, and they'll be seen more commonly. They were already played occasionally, but they're just going to be a little bit better. And then with the big change to snipers, we might start seeing vertical snipers as a comp, going for 4 and even 6 if you can get there. It's going to be very strong. For a list of all the common viable boards, I just ordered it in terms of level. Realistically, this hero augment should be over at the 1 and 2s, but I didn't put that there. So for 1 cost, you have Family, which got buffed. Morgana Visionaries, I think you're going to see this more with the Renata Visionaries nerf. You got Tristana. The Watchers and Emissaries got buffed a good amount. The Sentinels barely changed. The Bruisers got buffed. Zeri with Sentinels or Firelight Watchers if you have the emblem. Nocturne with ranged artifacts. That didn't really get changed. It's still niche. You have to get the range artifacts. Twisted Fate Loris Akali reroll. That got buffed. Ambusher reroll. No change. Form Swapper reroll. Barely changed, but it should be hittable now. Kog'Maw got buffed in both his comps, so you may be seeing him now. Cassiopeia and Blitz reroll got buffed pretty hard. I'm not sure how strong this will be, because Cassiopeia has not really seen much play as of yet, but she just keeps getting buffs, and Blitz is going to be a very good main tank at 3 stars. Silco, Dominators, or Chem-Baron. Silco got buffed a decent amount, and so did Chem-Baron. Chem Visionaries is very good. It already was. It's going to be even stronger now. Visionaries is still okay. Academy, no change. Scrap got nerfed a bit. Emissary Flex probably going into a Corki line, especially with the Scrap nerf. Twitch Bruisers and Experiment both got buffed. Rebels basically no change. Sorcerers got nerfed a good amount, so you'll be seeing it less. Conquerors, you're only playing that if you get 4 immediately. Enforcers are still going to be good. Pit Fighters may be flexed into occasionally. And we may be seeing some new sniper boards. And then all the hero augments are good. Singed is a bit weaker than the rest. For the family reroll notable changes, the Conqueror base damage at 2 got changed quite a bit. So your Draven and Darius are going to be stronger earlier. That may help. There's just a lot of small family buffs when it was already an okay comp, so it's going to be pretty good. The Pit Fighter heal at 4 and 6 got buffed. That's going to be quite strong. Pit Fighter was already how you really wanted to cap out family, and now it's going to be even more. Draven's attack speed is going to help in the early game. It's not a big buff. Powder's ability damage is going to help. It's not big as well. Vander's AD and armor got buffed. One thing I don't mention elsewhere is his hero augment got nerfed to account for these. It's probably going to be about the same strength as it was before. But this is just better for non-hero augment Vander. Savika's mana got buffed slightly. She's how you cap out the board. That's nice. It's not huge. The boards, as you've seen, you got your Vander as your main tank. Violet's going to be taking bruiser items. Draven's good with attack speed items. Savika and Vi are good to itemize later. Powder can take some items at 3-star, and she'll be good. The +1 to Pit Fighter and Family are both very good. On to Visionary Reroll. The Visionary healing, not a big change. The mana nerf isn't huge, but the secondary spell damage is quite a bit, because this is where a lot of Renata's damage would splash into. The Singed attack speed nerf isn't that big for most comps, but for this comp, going from 160 to 130, this is going to be felt, but it's not crazy. Onto Morgana Visionaries. It's basically the same board as Renata Reroll, but using Morgana as your carry. If you get a Visionary emblem, you drop Renata. Mel's a great carrier, Rumble's a great carrier. There's plenty of people you can put in as your 6th Visionary. With Morgana, this is probably the best items that you can have, but it's very flexible. You just want her to cast a lot and do good damage, but this causes her to cast constantly and heal up your front line. Singed and Rel, obviously you want to get 3-starred. Aurelia and Vex you can. They're not that big of a deal, but they're nice. Aurelia over Vex. For Renata Visionaries, nothing has changed in terms of the comp. Singed got a little nerf. That's not a big deal. The Renata is going to lack a little bit of damage, and keep in mind that this Quicksilver, this is the best item late, but early game, you can make something else and then move like a Gnasher's Tooth off later for Quicksilver. Not a big deal. Rel or Singed should be 3-starred. I forgot to put any 3-stars on this board. And just give them a bunch of tank. Often you want a solo tank, and the pizza formation is great. Tristana Reroll has multiple boards, and pretty much all of them got changed a little bit. For the Watchers, the Watcher version is probably my favorite. It got buffed a little bit. Not huge, but a little bit of buff with Vander, and then Watcher. Overall, for the Sentinel line, it's probably about even, with Leona being buffed. Leona's going to be a better main tank at 3-star than she was, but she was already good. Singed, the attack speed is a little bit down. For Bruisers, which is my least favorite way of playing Tristana, Nunu and Rennie both got buffed decently. They're not crazy, but they're pretty good. For the Tristana Emissary board, you want a 3-star Vlad, Vander, and Tristana. Corki as your artillerist. Echo's just there as a trait bot for Corki, and Firelight for Scar. He doesn't really matter. It's all about getting that Tristana, the 4 Watchers, and Emissary. Garen will be your main tank, but you can make Vander or Vlad secondary tanks. The items are pretty important for Tristana to be this. You can play other versions, but this is by far the best. On to Sentinels, the items are the same. Leona got buffed, Rel's no change, Singed got a little nerf in terms of his utility. I'm often trying to play this if I get a Light Shield crest, because it's just amazing. Has the same items as the other Trist build. It's just often harder to play a reroll Sentinel line, at least in the previous patch, but it should also stay the same in this patch. Oh, one thing I forgot to mention. Ezreal is good because he gives Rebel, but when you get to Corki 2, especially if he has items, I would move to Corki 2 and drop Rebel because he's just that good. For Tristana Bruisers, in this comp you don't want the Gunblade anymore because it's just not efficient. You just want to go more damage. Rennie and Nunu are great tanks. Itemize whoever you hit 3-star first. They both got buffed. It's just about doing damage with the Trist while you still have a ton of health. You're not going to heal up like in the other Tristana comps. For Zeri Reroll, the sniper change overall should be a buff because it helps get rid of the front line a little bit faster. She's often played in Sentinel comps, so these Watcher changes are more if you just get a Firelight emblem, and then the Sentinel comp barely got changed. It's mostly the sniper change that's going to hit Zeri, and I think that will make her slightly stronger. For Zeri Sentinels, it's just all the Sentinels. Zeri with at least one Rage Blade, and a Gunblade's very good. The third item is a little bit open, ideally more attack speed like another Rage Blade. Maddie you're going to have for a while. Caitlyn's obviously the best sniper to pair once you hit her. Another case where Light Shield Crest is amazing. If you're playing Zeri and you get a Firelight emblem, you just play the 4 Firelight, 4 Watcher board. Try and get Scar to be 3-starred. The items are the same on Zeri. The Amumu and Cog don't have to be Amumu and Cog. It could be Vlad, and it could be another sniper. This just gets synergies, and Amumu was buffed. Ranged Nocturne is no change. You're only playing Ranged Nocturne with ranged artifacts, or we may see it happen with Sniper Crest, where you play a different line that has the Cog instead of Malzahar. You might just leave it like that. That may be the only change, not sure. For the Twisted Fate Loris Akali reroll, it really only got one buff, but it's pretty big. The Akali mana buff from 60 to 50. You're just playing this 3-starring Akali, Loris, and Twisted Fate. Akali wants Bruiser, some sort of survivability and then some damage. Twisted Fate just wants damage. Loris wants tank. Gets your shred on Loris would be ideal. It can go on Twisted Fate, but I would prefer it on your front line so that you can have a 3-item pure damage Twisted Fate. Amateur reroll really didn't get changed at all. It says 6 here because you're looking to drop the powder for Rumble, or kind of whoever you hit. Rumble's the best though. You're playing kind of bruisery Smeech, often like a Bloodthirster Hodge Titans is what you see on Smeech. Echo, you want to get a lot of damage, but it's good to have some Hodges as well on him. Jinx late game you can itemize. Form Swapper reroll. This didn't get really changed. Slight buff to Conqueror, because you're just sitting at 2 Conqueror. Slight buff to Form Swapper. The Swain change is basically non-existent for this reroll. The main reason that this comp will be better now will be because you can actually hit a Swain 3-star because the sorcerers will be played less. You can itemize Jace as well. Swain's going to be your main tank. Elise is also a good tank. This is just to roll on 7 and hit your 3 stars. You never do it if someone's contesting the Swain, but if it's open it can be played. You won't see it too much, but it is slightly better. Kog'Maw got changed quite a bit. The Automata buffs help. It's not huge, but it'll help if you're playing the 6 Automata version. The snipers should be a slight buff. The Watcher damage, or the Watcher changes are good for if you don't hit the Automata emblem. And then the Blitzcrank, if you do reroll Cog and Blitz, will be an amazing main tank at 3-star. No change to this board. Mel's the best holder of the emblem, but until you get that, just put it on frontline to have more frontline. Blitz and Cog, you're 3-starring. The items are fairly flexible on both. Run either Mundo or Mord for Dominator, not both. And then if you don't have an emblem, you don't really want to be playing this comp too often. You're main tanking Scar and Garen with Kog'Maw as your backline. This one, it did get Watcher buffs, and Vander got buffs, and Amumu got buffs, and Sniper got buffs. So I think it's playable, but it's not what you really want to go for. But if you have like a Rage Blade and the attack speed gold generation item, I might look into this. For Dominators, the main changes, the biggest one I think is this Blitz change. Because of this Blitz change, we may see a Cassiopeia Blitzcrank reroll. You'll have to watch for if there's someone else rerolling Blitz, but I think with the Blitz as the main tank, it'll allow Cass to scale up high enough. The Silco buffs are quite nice, making him more stable at 1 star. That'll help if you're not playing the reroll version. For the reroll version, you may be putting Blitz as your solo frontline with a Gargoyle, or you may not. It depends on your items. The Cassiopeia items are a little bit open, but your goal is to get her to cast as much as possible, and this is the best way for that. You can do other items, but this is going to be your best option. You're not doing the reroll. This is the Silco line. Nothing's changed. This is the best items for Silco. It just causes him to scale as fast as possible. Mundo's your main tank. Blitz can be. I don't know. I don't think his 2-star buffs made him strong enough to be the main tank here. You just stay with Mundo. Chem-Baron got quite a few buffs. With these 4 and 5 buffs, it'll be easier to hit 500. The 2 and 300 gem rewards, I believe they said it would increase by like 6 gold on average. That helps with the half Chem-Baron lines. Not too much if you're going for a 500 line, but this is better. Rennie got some buffs, Silco got some damage buffs, Saviko got her buff. Nothing's changed with the line. I just put the perfected items as you would want to put them. Not much to say. Oftentimes, you need to hit a 500 cash out, I at least need to win a round. So you end up just doing a hard roll down and winning a round before everyone else spikes. You're just playing all the Chem-Baron units. Nothing really to think about. Dominator for Silco. Sentinel's good with all the health you get. Nothing really to say. For Visionaries, the Visionary changes themselves didn't really affect much. The Chem-Baron 200 and 300, this is where it's going to help it the most because there's a Chem-Baron Visionary comp that is quite good. This is the Chem-Baron Visionary. Heimer's going to be your main damage, but if you get an early Malzahar, he can be your main damage, but it's going to be Heimer most of the time. You ideally want to get Rennie 3-star with one of the 200 to 300 cash outs getting, ideally a 300 cash out getting one of these items so that Rennie becomes very tanky. This comp just relies around getting a small Chem-Baron cash out and then getting a Rennie 3 as your main tank. Nunu 3 is worth hitting if you have to roll for Rennie and you end up getting a bunch of Nunus. The Heimer and Malzahar items are fairly flexible. This is just the standard Visionary comp. I'd only ever play this with a Visionary emblem and you don't want to reroll and you can't hit the Chem-Baron version. This you don't see too often because there's just other ways of playing Heimer. And this isn't terribly strong, but it is okay. Elise is your main tank. Heimer is probably going to be your main damage early. The items are very flexible, but you're not often looking to play this. The Academy line didn't really get changed at all. Lau is your main tank. You're itemizing Heimer, Corki, and Jace, ideally all 3, but you want to get items for at least 2 of them, often using the Academy to hit. It's very good with a Sentinel crest or an Academy crest. You just have to know when to run Academy based off the items. But you can even run Academy when the items aren't amazing. It's just a good comp that basically didn't get changed at all. Just a slight Leona buff, slight Rumble nerf. Those don't matter. It's still an amazing comp. For Scrap, the only notable change really is the Scrap shield is down 10%. That's not huge, it'll still be very good. The powder ability damage is nice, and the Rumble nerf is very small. I think the main change is just the Scrap shield is going to go down a bit. And here, if you have, ideally, you're looking to drop Ziggs, and then if you Get a scrap emblem, you're probably dropping Trundle. With a scrap emblem, you're playing Loris and Vi rather than Trundle and Alawi. Without a scrap emblem, you'd play... I like playing Alawi. She's fairly flexible just to get the Sentinel for the big scrap shield. Elise is great. She's just simply great. She gives your form swapper. She is the best user of this shield, causing her to often cast twice. And I listed the items are fairly flexible with what you can do. Corki wants, i.e. Last Whisper ideally. And then these are the best items to scrap so that you always get Guardbreaker, Hodge, Guardbreaker. Powder goes in the front. This is just because I didn't have enough room in the front. One thing to mention is Corki, when you get 6 scrap, is often better in the front line, provided he's not going to get CC'd, because it causes him to use his shield more efficiently and cast earlier, since he flies away to safety. Emissary Flex didn't really change at all. You want to get Corki with 80 items, Ambessa with Bruiser items, Garen as your main tank. I think it'll see a little bit more play with the scrap nerf. I don't think scrap wasn't hit very hard, and this didn't change at all. But you'll see it a bit more often, where previously you weren't seeing it at all, just because scrap was super strong. For the notable Twitch changes, the sniper changes should help him a little bit. The Nunu ability change is basically non-existent in this comp, but it's worth mentioning. He's slightly stronger. Twitch is going to do a bit more damage. Caitlyn's down a little bit. That's not too important for this comp. It's just worth mentioning. There's 2 ways of playing Twitch. You have with the Bruiser emblem. You want to get a lot of attack speed on Twitch, especially to make use of the now buffed Experiment HP damage bonus. You just go all the Bruisers. Twitch with a Sniper, the best is Caitlyn. Add in Jace for the form swapper and the extra front line. Not much to say. You're just main tanking Mundo. Get a bunch of attack speed on Twitch. For the Experiment, it's basically the same. Mundo's your main tank. Elise can take some items as well. Same within the last comp. Twitch, you're just looking for attack speed items. It's basically the same board as the last one. You're just going 5 Experiment instead of 6 Bruiser. And you play off the Experiment emblem. You shouldn't really care which emblem you hit. They're both great comps, and they both use the same items. Rebel, basically unchanged. You hit the emblem, you drop a Kali. Lau is your main tank. Zoe and Jinx are your main damage. Not much to think about. The comp was good. It's still good. It's not been changed, and it's just generically decent. For Sorcerer, the AP nerf isn't going to hit it that hard. The Swain nerf isn't really a big deal. The main thing is going to be this LeBlanc change. Previously, Sorcerers would stabilize off of LeBlanc 1, and she took quite a big damage nerf and this ability damage sharing. She got hit pretty hard. She's still going to be good, but it's not going to be a premier comp like it was previously. It'll still be good. Police your main tank. LeBlanc's going to do very well with attack speed items. Swain will do good with just damage amp and casting more like a Shojin Guardbreaker with the Jeweled Gauntlet. Zoe is not the best carry when you don't have Rebel active. A lot of her power is in Rebel, so when you don't have Rebel, she just loses a lot of effectiveness. That's why you play LeBlanc and Swain. This will still be good, but the LeBlanc is going to stabilize you less. And you're going to have to use Zoe for a little bit longer, most likely, even though she's not ideal. Same thing applies with the Blanc. In this comp, she just took a pretty big hit. It'll still be very good, but it won't be crazy. This comp is probably the best user of quality over quantity, and in that case, I would run this comp. Otherwise, I'm not looking to run this comp because you have to hit a LeBlanc on 8 and get lucky there. If you can 3-star Swain, that's very good. Same thing goes with in the 6 Sorcerer, 3-star Swain is very good. You just have to gauge with both these comps if you should stay at 8 and roll for a Swain 3 or go 9, try and add another unit and hit your LeBlanc 2 easier. It'll depend game to game. Garen's obviously your main tank here. The Conqueror changes are really not that big. This Conqueror change should not affect when you're actually running Conqueror. The Draven attack speed is a slight buff, and the Swain shouldn't affect this comp at all. The reason I say that the 2 Conqueror doesn't affect this comp at all is because I'm only ever running Conqueror when I can have 4 Conqueror from the start. Otherwise, I just don't think it's good enough. Conqueror emblem can go on your Rumble, Jace, or a Gangplank if you go Gangplank 3, but you can have like Gangplank with Conqueror and then transition to Jace if you're not going to hit the Gangplank 3. Mbessa can take items, Mord can take items, Swain can go 3-star. Maybe you'll hit Gangplank Swain 3-star. As a possibility, he can be your main tank, otherwise Elise is your main tank. There's plenty of ways to itemize this comp, I just don't think it's very strong, but some games, it's okay. Enforcers took a nerf on their damage amp at 8, Sniper got a little bit of a buff, and then Caitlyn took a little bit of a nerf on her spell. Overall, I think the comp got nerfed slightly, but not that big. You're obviously looking to play this with an emblem. Vi takes your bruiser items, Loris is your tank. Twisted Fate is an amazing early game and mid game carry. And then late game when you hit the Caitlyn, transfer over the Shojin to Caitlyn. But even multiple items to cause them to cast often are good. Twisted Fate can stabilize your Enforcer board very well if you give him some items, so don't sleep on it, but Vi and Caitlyn are obviously better once you get the 8 Enforcer active. Not much to say, it's still just a generically good comp, it's just not as crazy as it was. With the change to Pit Fighter and the slight nerf to Enforcer, if you miss the Enforcer emblem and you have a bunch of bruiser items, you may want to flex into Pit Fighter. The heal got buffed, Raven's slightly better, Savika's slightly better. It's still not a premier comp, and I don't think it will be for the rest of the set, but it is okay from certain spots. Your Gangplank is a great backline carry, especially if you can get him 3-star. Vi is obviously wanting bruiser items, same with Savika if you get there. Rumble is a great use of the Pit Fighter emblem, and then you just drop Violet. But this comp is not gonna... You shouldn't be looking to play this comp. It'll be what ends up being the best based off how the game goes for you. It won't be a common thing you do often. And lastly, with the change to Sniper, I think you're going to be seeing some new Sniper boards. I've theory crafted one, but I think after this, but there's going to be, who knows if it's what people are going to go for, and I think there's going to be a lot. You may even be going for 6 Sniper when you can, but it is going to lack backline, or frontline, I mean. It's going to have insane backline. But with the Sniper buffs, the Enforcer slight nerf, that may come into some 6 Sniper or 4 Sniper comps. Twitch obviously wants Experiment, and Caitlyn did get nerfed a little bit, but if you're getting to 4 or 6, she should be stronger than she was previously. This is just a theory craft. I didn't put much time into thinking about it. You know, this just seems very good. Lau is your main tank. Caitlyn and Twitch can hold some items. Same with Vi. Vi Sniper sounds very good because she'll just do insane damage and CC, but there may be other versions of this and you may be wanting to go for 6 Sniper instead, but just be on the lookout for it. And if you get forced into a Sniper emblem, look to play Vertical Sniper. It should be pretty decent. That's all. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe if you want it more. I do a new video most days. Generally, it's just a edited VOD where I remove a lot of the dead space. I'm trying to stream every day, 3 to 7 p.m. EST. Often I start earlier or go a bit later. This is just when I should be live for sure. That's just Twitch TV/Larser. Thanks for watching. This is my cat Loki.